Hey everybody, and welcome back to another road review with your old buddy Bucho. Let's talk about The World's End.
Picking up the fire to save my life. Split as a mist, sat 12 feet high. Sit in the light just because we're there. This ain't how we're meant to be.
You know how it's fun to get drunk, but it kind of sucks to be sober while being around other people while they get drunk? That's kind of what this movie offers in parts. But let's not begin with negatives when this movie has a ton of positives. So let's raise a glass to what's good about The World's End. I love Edgar Wright so much that I'll watch any of his 3 previous features for as long as I can, anytime I come across any of them, on any TV, anywhere in the entire world. He's one of the most fun directors working today, and I've always looked forward to his films, and The World's End hasn't changed that one bit. All of his trademark playful flourishes are there in The World's End to some extent, plus we get to see even more of his constantly developing ability to deliver super fun fight scenes. I think Pacific Rim is the only other recent film with fight scenes that are this much fun. And here in The World's End, Edgar Wright does a great job of having each of the 5 mates approach each fight in a style which suits each of their distinct personalities. It's storytelling within fight scenes, and I love storytelling within fight scenes. That's how it should be done. I love Nick Frost so much, I wish he was in every single movie. And after this movie, I wish he was in every single movie and had fight scenes in all of them. Who knew jovial, cuddly old Nick Frost was part badass, shit-kicking old Sammo Hung? Not me, but I do now, and I want to see more of it. And I want to see it more often, because Nick Frost is wildly lovable, and he always cracks me up, and because, God, I love Nick Frost. I love him. I also like Paddy Considine quite a bit, and I also like Eddie Marzan quite a bit. And Marta Freeman, I like him quite a bit. Rosamund Pike, I like her quite a bit, although she's given a little less than the lads to chew on in this one. But they each have good individual moments in The World's End, as well as doing a fine job of fulfilling their roles as kind of support characters to the central relationship of Gary and Andy. Which brings us to the other half of that central relationship, Simon Pegg, aka Gary King. I've liked Simon Pegg a lot in some roles. Sean, Nicholas Angel, Montgomery Scott, but in other movies, How to Lose Friends and Alienate People and Burke and Hare, for example, I've not even liked him a little bit. Although, maybe it's fairer to say I've not even liked the characters a little bit. Because, to be fair to Pegg, a good amount of that is that he's really good at playing really unlikable characters. And Gary King is in that lineage of other pathetic British delusionalists like your Alan Partridges, like your David Brents, like nearly everyone in the thick of it. Is that how you say that? Except that those characters were grounded enough to have some pathos, whereas Gary King's moronic abrasiveness is so much larger than life, he never builds up any pathos. And because there's not enough substance at his core to exude any more than a faint whisper of humanity, unlike, say, David Brent or Alan Partridge, Gary King feels more like an obnoxiously disastrous force of nature than a human being. So while we're constantly told Gary's this great leader, the other 4 musketeers would follow into hell, I never saw Gary exhibit any of this fabled magnetism or charisma. In fact, I saw the exact opposite. For the entire length of the film, he's anti-magnetic. He's flat out repulsive. He's not compelling, he's repelling. He's almost entirely an unrelentingly tiresome, irritating twat. And your mileage with The World's End is probably going to depend on whether you read the ending as some kind of redemption for Gary, or just a depressing fall back into his old, narcissistic, friend-endangering delusion. If you want to do the math, there is a way the ending can be read as some kind of redemption for Gary, but that might depend on how charming you find shrill, delusional man-children who are either on copious amounts of speed or a nuclear-powered sugar rush, and who refuse point-blank to acknowledge the damage they inflict on everybody around them, constantly, on and on and on and on. So the movie doesn't fail to attempt to give Gary some kind of redemption, some kind of resolution, but for me at least, it does fail to deliver that. And that's kind of a shame, because everything else about the movie is great. The other actors are great, the way Edgar Wright is using his camera is great, the way he edits is great, the soundtrack is great. The story itself, the idea is great. Everything is so much fun except for the central performance. He's just so obnoxious, it just is not any fun to spend any time watching him. Although that's kind of unfair to say, because it's not that he doesn't have funny moments. Simon Pegg is so good, and Edgar Wright is so good, that they create a character who does have funny moments, even though it's painful to watch him, even though it's torture to watch him. Sometimes, at some moments, it works. Sometimes he made me laugh, almost in spite of himself. So overall, I liked everything about this movie except Gary King's story. But because Gary King is what the entire film hangs on, that's kind of a problem. Without Gary King, it's a 9 out of 10. But with him, it's yet another 7 out of 10 in this endless parade of 7 out of 10s from the year of 7 out of 10s. Definitely worth heading out to the big screen for if you want to go and see something, but not worth selling your firstborn to see. Not like Scott Pilgrim, which was worth selling your first 3 firstborns to see. So thanks for riding with your old buddy Bucho for another road review. Hopefully I'll be back with another one soon, but for now, I have to go and round me up some likely lads from back in the day so I can make a desperate attempt to relive some of my former glories at the World's End. You guys, maybe this review would have been a little bit better if I'd done it when I was a little bit drunk. Because let's be honest, you guys, everything's a little bit better when you're a little bit drunk. Yeah.